When's it going to end, Robbie? Hang on.
When's it going to end, Robbie?
Oh, shit.
Fucking hell. Alrighty.
Off to a flyer.
Off to a flyer. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second episode of the Shed End podcast. My name is Alex, and to my left, I have the returning, well, not even guest, co-host, absolute legend, Zizou Season 10, also known as James. And to our right, we have the debut episode for big Joshy boy, Trent, whatever your name is on Twitter.
Yeah, thanks.
But
Josh will do.
Josh will do.
We'll see how long this lasts until we get cancelled.
Or until one of us has a fucking crack at the other one and we decide to scrap this shit altogether. Anyways, lads. Anyways, heavy week to talk about in terms of football for the Glory. 2 games. We've got another one coming up on Sunday against Adelaide at 3 p.m. But we just got back from the Sydney game and Jesus Christ, was it a fucking barnstormer. First of all, let's just talk about the Melbourne victory game because we've got too much to cover in terms of how much this team utterly disappoints us and makes us reconsider several life choices, such as what have I done wrong to deserve being born in Perth and being born to support this football club. But James, do you want to start us off with that Melbourne victory game and just what your thoughts were regarding the whole match, I guess? Just what did you think about the performance?
Well, I thought it was a standard Glory away performance because it was a game where, you know, we had some bright moments. I think we did start off okay, but I think at the same time, you know, the ability to execute in a difficult game away from home against a really good team, I thought the execution of a lot of core skills was pretty poor. And that critical action in the final third, we just didn't have it. We just couldn't do it. Whether it was, you know, the runs not being right or made at the right time, or the actual pass that to make that incisive move just wasn't good enough. I thought the decision from Stadge to play Giocoli and Trent Osler against a really healthy and balanced midfield in Brian Teague, Jake Brimmer and Zinedine Majac was tactical suicide. I don't think there's any other way to describe it because, you know, Osler and Collie as a midfield too, I think we can all agree that's like your party time midfield at HBF Park where, you know, the whole script's been thrown out the window and no one gives a fuck anymore. But trying to do that against a really technically proficient midfield, again, is stupid. I thought our organisation defensively was rubbish. I thought our lack of attention to detail on certain players like Bruno Fornaroli, who's got great penalty box movement, and we let him score 2 really sloppy goals. And our work on Daniel Arzani was piss weak. And ultimately just shows why Victory are, I believe, 3rd, and, you know, we are struggling in 10th. So, yeah.
I think another point needs to be made on Stadge. I mean, especially with some of his selections in recent weeks. We had that little mini experiment for maybe 2-3 games with Johnny Katrumbis at CDM. I didn't think he was horrible personally. I didn't think he was great, don't get me wrong. I think he probably didn't do as good as sort of a Musti Amini would do in that role. But I don't see what Trent Osler does to be starting as a defensive midfielder over the likes of Johnny Katrumbis. Now, I love Trent. I'm a Trent fan. I think he's a great squad player. He can play fullback. He can play winger. I just don't think he's technically efficient enough to be playing in that midfield, especially in a double pivot alongside someone who's sort of defensively as inept as Gio Collie. But we'll throw it to Josh here. Josh, did you have any thoughts regarding that victory game?
Oh, look, I mean, obviously I thought we were going to get cooked. we're always going to get cooked, bro. What are you laughing at? Nah, but there's a lot to say, there's a lot on my mind, but we're always going to get cooked in that midfield. I think we all knew that. The thing that baffles me is how Bodnar didn't even make the bench. Like,
disgraceful.
Obviously, 3 games in 7 days is like stupid. And that's not Stadge's fault, but Amini was never going to start because we were going to save him for Sydney, but how Bodnar doesn't even make the bench baffles me, and I think even at this point in the season, I think we're not going to make finals, and we already knew that going into the game. I don't like to have that sort of attitude, but, you know, give the young kids a crack. You know, we've got that young Japanese kid who looks decent, and he made the bench a few weeks ago, but he never made a debut, so Yeah, there was a lot. Obviously, G. Collie, he, as usual, disappointed me. But I mean, he's gas, bro. Benny, I thought it was great to see him like get that goal, especially for his confidence will be great. But yeah, he just looks gas, man, and you can't blame him. He's 17, playing 90 minutes week in, week out. But yeah,
Can I touch on that Benny goal? Just like I know we've just been slamming the team for like the last 5 minutes, but
Deservedly so.
well, yeah, I know. But that Benny goal though was beautiful. Like, you know,
That was fantastic.
you know, Riley Warland, David Williams, Jared Coluccia all played a really important part in it. And that kind of football looked like Brighton, and it was just boom, 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 and cut through a really well organised defence. And I'm like, where the hell has this been all season? Like, a lot of our goals are just inshallah, pump a ball forward and something will happen. You know, it's sort of like get the ball to, you know, one of our centre backs and maybe Taggart will do something, or because there's nothing in between. But in between for the Benny's goal, beautiful bits of play, and then he finally got reward for effort. He's done a truckload of work. We all think he's tired. I said he was tired since round 3 Central Coast.
Yeah.
I don't know where he's found this energy from, but fair play to the young lad. It's just a shame that what do we have to show for it, you know, in terms of the bigger picture going into the rest of the games this season. So, yeah.
I mean, you lightly touched on it there, but I thought it was nice to see Riley Warland actually get a bit of, a nice little moment for him. Obviously, he did get the assistant tonight in the game against Sydney. We'll talk about that later. But for a man that's been struggling for form as much as he has been in recent weeks, it's nice to see him sort of showing a bit more confidence, getting involved in the play a bit more forward. Obviously, there's still those defensive mishaps, and we saw it a couple times against Arzani particularly, how, Jesus Christ, Arzani had him and Khalifi on a fucking dog leash for most of the game. But that's just Daniel Arzani personally. He's a phenomenal winger, but it was not looking good. And I'm honestly shocked that we came away from that game only conceding 2, because we looked horrific on defence at times. Too many gaps out wide. There was a huge gap between that midfield pairing of Osler and Colley and that defensive line. I just thought there was way too much space for Brimmer and Machash to operate. And
I'll be honest, I think the whole team looks drunk.
yeah,
I know that's a bit of a wild claim, but you know, the amount of indecisiveness and just like the wobbly kind of nature of the whole team, and just the fact that, you know, our back line is like a 7-Eleven. We're open 24/7. You know, we're incapable of keeping a clean sheet, you know, like a 7-year-old with a bladder problem. You know, and our midfield, Bagel FC.
so many holes.
So many holes, Swiss cheese, and it's like, you know, teams can just go whoop, cut through us, and that's something that, you know, particularly frustrates me, because I've been whinging and bitching about this midfield for years, and you know, it didn't really get much better in tonight's game, put it that way.
Well, it's a good thing that we now have this podcast, because now it is our job to whinge and bitch about this team. But I'll throw it to you, Josh, because I think you want to say
Can I just add real quick? Obviously, we've struggled in the defence department, but like we've conceded the most amount of goals in the comp, right?
Second last.
Second
most, sorry.
Yeah. I mean, it's mostly the midfield, in my opinion, because our midfield is non-existent. Like, it's too hard for, you know, when you're running Sushnia and Daryl with, I mean, obviously Katrumbas has legs, but Warland is not particularly quick either. When you've got them, you know, chasing after players with no midfield support, you can't really expect them to do well. I really honestly think if we had a decent, you know, but like if we had a decent defensive midfield, or just midfield in general, you know, they'd do a lot better. I can't solely blame our defenders, because I think that's unfair.
Do you think it's structural personnel? Just very quickly, do you think our issues are more structure based or personnel based, or do you think it's a combination of both?
It's a combination.
I'd say it's both.
I think it's a
Because
combination.
I think at the same time, like, our defense gets exposed hard because of how open we play, and that's not helped by our midfielders lacking, in my opinion, a level of intelligence and tactical discipline to play. And operate in a certain way so that, for example, you can deal with counter-attack moments better and position yourself proactively and better in the first phase rather than, oh shit, they've just passed us, we've now got to sprint back at high speed and everyone's cooked by about the 60th minute. You know, I think it's a combination of both, and you know, that's been one area in particular I've been disappointed with Staj, the inability to fix that over the course of the season, so hopefully that changes at least in the next season.
I mean, I think as we were saying at the start of the season, James, you and I especially, that we had a real sort of starting 11 that could push for a top 6, but I think that we found over the season that maybe while we did have that sort of top 6 quality starting 11, we didn't have a top 6 quality squad overall.
No.
The depth just hasn't been there. And, you know, credit to guys like Benny, who we've been able to call on throughout the whole season, and Anasmo, who's played a very good role towards the back end of the year, especially Majekodunmi as well. But Jesus Christ, having to call on so many academy lads at crucial moments in our season, I think is really just indicative as to the kind of situation that we were in at the start of the season and throughout January as well, before the Pellegrini group took over. I guess another question, I was going to bring this up later after the Sydney game discussion, but might as well bring it up now. What do we think about this Staj system? Now, I know it's controversial amongst a lot of Glory fans, this double pivot that we seem to be playing without an organised defensive midfielder. The closest thing we have to that being Luke Bodnar, who seemingly can't get a scratch in the team, Antonis Martis, who tore his ACL and is only just coming back to training, and obviously you have the likes of Musti Amini, who is more of a box-to-box 8, Gio Colli, who's more of a creative 8, and then we had Ollie Bozanic earlier in the season, who last season was playing as a number 10. So when you say that, is it structural or is it personnel based? While I do think that we don't have a top 6 squad, I can't help but think that maybe this squad was never ready to play that sort of Staj ball with that 2-man double pivot in midfield. I almost feel like we were sort of doomed from the start in that aspect.
Can I just add real quick? I think initially going in at the start of the season, Staj was told that he was getting owners, and he thought, you know, this will suit us best, and in January we'll get a couple recruitments here and there, and I think we'll push for top 6. But I think that was Staj. If he'd known, obviously you can't predict the future, but if he'd known what happened now, I think he would have gone in with a different sort of system structure.
That's fair enough. Do you reckon Staj switches it up next year, or do you reckon we pursue with this lineup? Because there's been a lot of talk about possible names being brought in, and obviously when you have Stan Lazaridis mentioning that you want to bring in Perth-born talents. I know about the April Fool's joke that Armadale put out about Trent Sainsbury coming back to Perth, but obviously that option's still there. Trent Sainsbury is on the market. You look at expiring contracts or just people who have deals running out. You have Josh Risden, obviously. Could you bring him back? Do you put him over a Johnny Katrumbis, or do you offload a Johnny Katrumbis? Do you bring in someone like a Brendan O'Neill? Would he work in that double pivot? Do you look to even some, maybe not Perth boys, but more Glory players? Do you look at someone like a Chris Economidis? There's a lot of questions certainly to be answered, but I think everything will be a bit more clear once we sort of understand what Staj exactly wants from that system, because I don't particularly think that next season we're going to be seeing much more creativity in the midfield if we do stick with it. I think what we can hope for is a bit more defensive stability, I guess better positioning, better match awareness, and for that maybe you do just bring in some experienced minds in that midfield. Obviously you have foreign marquees like a Morgan Schneiderlin. Like, I personally don't think I'd bring in Morgan Schneiderlin. I don't think it would be a smart move for the club at this stage, but you do sort of wonder, do you maybe go foreign in that market? Is that where you drop your visas on just assuring that midfield, and do you sort of just trust your youngsters like your Majekodunmi, your Anasmos, your Bennys, your Gormans to sort of fill in the gaps? Is that something we do, or do we look to attack those gaps in the market for foreign marquees instead?
Well, I think there's obviously a lot to do in the off season, because there's a lot of contracts expiring, and I think a lot of players will leave the club at the end of the season. So I think Stan and Staj will work together to sort of figure out a plan, and then it depends who they can get. I think they'll target, some Perth boys, like, Brisbane isn't a Perth boys, Bunbury, but same thing.
WA.
WA boys, bring back Sainsbury. Personally, I think Johnny Katrumbas has solidified his spot. I don't think he deserves to be benched. But yeah, definitely I think some WA boys will be brought back, and Stadge will look at that and sort of communicate with Stan what he wants, and I think go from there.
I think that's fair enough. And, you know, when we sort of look at next season, if we are going to be running with this sort of 4-4-2 with a double pivot that Stadge has been running, you look at the major problem areas and you sort of think, right, well, we've got to highlight a few areas where we need. You got to get a long-term partner for tags, and by long-term I mean at least for the next 2 seasons, next 2-3 seasons, while you sort of work out what your best option for striker is. Do you sort of phase in a guy like Jaden Gorman so that he's ready for first team football and to partner or to even take over from tags by the time he's 23? Do you put your eggs in the basket of a Sebastian Despotovsky? He's only, I think, 18 right now, but, you know, he's shown some promising signs for the NPL side. Do you put your faith in guys like Majekodunmi to start all these games next season? Personally, I think the biggest problems we have to address, left back, obviously. You need a starting 8 because Musti Amini was too injury prone throughout the season. You need a starting 6 because you need to have at least 1 6 and a double pivot. And do you possibly bring in a new starting striker, or do you trust one of those academy boys going forward? Because we've seen at times Collar can affect games with a goal, but does he impact the game enough to actually warrant that starting spot for the entirety of the season going forward? James, what do you reckon?
Well, first of all, I think there's a lot of points, so I'll do my best to try and not babble on too long and get to the point almost. But I think on Stadge's system, I think for me, it's a very blitzkrieg kind of system, and I think if you don't have the right players for it, it's going to go tits up very quick and end up in flames. Or it'll be a system that, you know, with the right players or in the right conditions, it could be a really effective attacking system. I think that's the key word. It's very attacking. But I think in the A-League, when you've got a lot of teams that have quick wingers and good ball winners, I think with some of our ball security and how sloppy we are on the ball, and then it's like, you know, I know we're not going to talk about it just yet, but the Sydney game that we just watched, there were so many times where we just were piss farting on the ball and then lost it. And then there was a counter attack. I think Collie copped a yellow, Amini copped a yellow, Shush copped a yellow. You know, just obviously you have to make the foul to stop the transition, but even still, we didn't proactively position ourselves correctly. So then it's like you look in off season. Well, Stadge, in my opinion, Stadge will want to keep this system going, because I think when you look at his teams over the last, say, 4 to 5 years at the Mariners, it's been pretty consistent. With the Philippines women's national team, he was great enough that he was able to get it to that team where it was to qualify for the Women's World Cup.
The win over New Zealand at the World Cup.
It was beautiful, but he wasn't going to get that team playing hectic attacking football. But they played a brand of football that was very disciplined and defensively oriented, and they ground out a lot of results. We can't really do that. We always start on the back foot. I mean, our defence, again, like I said, it is drunk. We concede way too many soft goals and just bad positioning, bad defending. And I've said to you boys at the game, I just think we need players that want to work and have that hunger. I mean, Sydney didn't really show it tonight, but you need players that can just hunt the ball and have that attitude of defending for each other, and not just thinking, you know, like a sheep, oh, I've got to go and run at the ball and I've just got to run and get that ball, rather than, okay, maybe do I need to take up a different position while my mate is going out to apply pressure. I just don't think we have that attention to detail. So signings, look, we've spoken either on here or on different platforms till the cows come home about all the different players that we can bring in. But I think there needs to be a critical discussion over how Stadge wants this team to be over the next 2, 3, 4 seasons. Where's it going to be in that time, and what sort of players do we need to think about bringing in order to satisfy the profiles of player that he has especially moving forward with whatever budget we have, and if we can fix it up as best as we can moving into next season.
Now, obviously, this isn't Perth Glory news related, but I thought it was just a little cool mention. Catania securing their spot in the promotion playoffs for Serie C. Obviously, great news for us Glory fans, considering that they are also owned by the Pelligra Group. A weird situation for them this season. I know neither of you boys really watch much Serie C,
No.
but they're actually, I think it's 2 spots outside the relegation zone right now. But they won the Serie C version of the Coppa Italia, and now they're in the promotion playoffs. So very interesting situation that they find themselves in, but let's hope they can get it done. Forza Catania, let's get it done, boys. Let's see that Serie B money coming in next season. But let's get back to the Perth Glory and let's get on to our game against Sydney. Now, first of all, a midweek Wednesday night game at 6:45, APL, what the fuck are you boys thinking?
What the hell was that crowd?
was that?
Decent crowd for a Wednesday night.
No.
It helps that it was a public, not a public holiday, sorry, a school holiday.
Still shit,
However,
Josh. It was shit.
I didn't hear the official attendance.
They're never going. Oh, we'll see.
I
We'll see.
seriously, we didn't hear it at the stadium. I'm guessing it's because it wasn't that great. Now I predicted 4,500. I want to see where this is. Josh, I think you said 3.9. James, you said 3.5. And I said 4.5. Have they got it up?
Yeah.
They haven't got it up. Brenton.
Oh, hang on.
FC Mike.
Hang on.
Oh.
4,862.
Thank you.
That's
I'll take that
bullshit.
one. Let's go. I'll hold that down.
What?
They're counting the security
Fair enough.
guards, mate.
Well, there were two.
At least 870.
Can we just quickly say before, how many friggin' security guards were there?
There were,
Especially
it's
by the
so
shed.
unnecessary.
And it's like the troublemakers clearly that were there in that bay 136. They've all pissed off. They've all gone home. They're not there, so the need for security again is overzealous. And I know we shouldn't mention it, but West Sydney Wanderers, their game against Macarthur, one of my good mates, he put a photo up on Twitter, and the RBB weren't even there, and there were like 20 Raptor squad coppers in that picture, and I'm like, guys, where's your level of planning where you're assessing the potential threat level? RBB isn't there, and then for our case, the kids that were breaking chairs and behaving like dickheads and ruining for everyone else, they've gone as well. So that's just a small gripe with me, but yeah.
I reckon Venue West does it on purpose so they can charge us more.
Well, our cockheads, yeah.
No.
Got to justify that $35 ticket fee.
Look, I'm just going to go back to Sydney. Obviously, I've said stupid having 3 games in 7 days. Going into the game, didn't really sort of expect the players to be sharp because, they played, had 2 days rest.
Yeah.
They looked all cooked. It was good to see Anasmo get the start. I liked a little bit of rotation, but even still, I've said this to you, James. I don't know if you remember at the start of the season, all our players, they just look unfit. They don't look.
No, I agree.
They don't look as fit as other teams. I don't know if that's a mental thing, because if you look at Taggart, he's a lot fitter than the other players.
Yeah.
But then again, is it a mental thing or is it a problem with our back room?
I'll quickly dabble on that, because I was speaking about I'll say first and foremost, anyone that does S&C can say I'm chatting shit or whatever, because I don't do conditioning, I don't do the pre-season stuff, I don't really know how it all works. But from just a general eye test, I don't think we look that fit. I just think over the whole season, I don't think we looked as fit as Stadge would want us to be. Let's not forget as well, Stadge didn't have a full pre-season with the players. It was Kenny Lowe, Andy Kerr and a couple other coaches that were looking after them for the time being. And I think our preparation leading into this season was absolute shit. But again, even just over the whole season, look, today, it was tough because they had to fly in straight after the victory game and back up against Sydney, who are a very intense team. They're a tough challenge for any team. But again, it's like, I can't exactly say sitting there after the game, 1-1 draw, that I'm happy. So we may as well get into it.
I wanted to make this point after I did my live stream for the Soccer is Lebanon, but it was a bit hypocritical for me to make when we won 5-0.
Oh, shit.
But I do think that we need to extend the A-League season. Now, I know some people have said to me especially, Jovan,
Serb.
Serbian, but have said to me that we can't do that because it would cost the league too much money, and we'd have to pay the players more. But I think extending the season is so crucial to our performance as a national team and these players that we're putting through to the national team. For that entire Asian Cup campaign, I genuinely can't remember one game where we looked impressive after the 70th minute. Against India, we scored 2 very scrappy goals, and then 70th minute onwards, we looked like shit. Same with Uzbekistan, looked like shit, 70th minute onwards. Same with Syria. South Korea switched off the last 20 minutes and conceded a goal where we should have gone through. And you can see it in the A-League as well. Like, look, obviously you have these incredible games, and, you know, you have Perth Passion Ball where we always score a last-minute fucking equaliser or a winner to dig ourselves out of a shit situation. But these short seasons, I don't think help players. I also don't think that it helps the Glory specifically that we have such a harsh travel schedule. Now, I understand that people are like, okay, well, we aren't looking as strength and condition as the other team. Now, if someone from Perth Glory would like to reach out to me and tell me that I'm a fucking idiot, please do, because I'd love to be informed that I'm incorrect. But I almost feel like maybe it's because our travel schedule is so harsh, there's simply less times for our players to be able to get into that physical mindset that physical preparation that we need them to be in before a match.
I'm gonna say also, I think our game model doesn't really give us the capacity to be fitter. Because I think if you think about it, I don't have the numbers on me, but if I'm going to take a guess, I think we're probably going to be in the top 3 or 4 for teams in the A-League that average the most high sprints over a number of different distances compared to any other team, because of how high and wide Stage wants the players to play. And then when we lose the ball from farting around on it, we then got to sprint all the way back at high speed. Then you got to add in the travel factor. Then you got to add in the accumulative loading. You know, it's all going to catch up. And that's another thing with the Stage's system. I just think, you know, the fact that there's not too much rotation, for example, in the midfield, when there probably should have been. And we're seeing the effects of a tired G. Colley and probably also a tired Daniel Benny. You know, I think Benny is someone that has done tremendously well to work as hard as he has, but I think I want to be a bit harsh, we've been a little bit irresponsible with elements of his development, because I don't think we've necessarily had to play his best intentions at heart, because he's 17. You know, I'm speaking in hindsight, obviously, but I would have tried to have used Daniel a bit more sporadically, and ideally use someone like Jared Coluccio, who's got a bit of experience in the A-League. Older as well, yeah. So there's a number of factors, but definitely moving forward into next season, we need to probably be a bit smarter in terms of looking at the physical side and the fitness side, in terms of how can we get an edge over our opponents, despite the obvious, you know, we're other side of the country, got to deal with the travel, got to deal with X, Y, and Z. So, yeah.
I mean, this is one thing that I've echoed numerously across social media, being that one of my favourite things about Stajic and the Glory backroom staff this season is how we've handled David Williams. Now, obviously, David being 36, this is possibly his last season. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing him kept on for another year purely as an impact sub. But I've really been pleased with how we've used him this season. We got the best out of him when week to week he was playing the last 20, 25, 30 minutes of every game, coming on against a tired defence and just running fucking havoc. Because David is still physically fit. He's still physically capable of, you know, impacting a game. Is he capable enough of starting and playing 90 minutes? Probably not. I think we've seen that in recent games where when you put him on against a rested defence, a defence that's sort of sharp and raring to go, he's not as impactful, but that's to be given with any sort of fox in the box striker. You want them on against a tired defence who's mentally exhausted and physically just not all there. But I feel like we did a really good job managing him, so it just baffles me as to how in so many circumstances we seemingly got it so wrong with Daniel Benny. Now, obviously, a 17-year-old man's going to want to play every single game he can, obviously, but I just feel like it's such a risk to him. And I understand that Benny is now becoming sort of the Perth poster boy and the franchise player. And James, you and I had this discussion last week on episode 1, where we said, is it a bit too much pressure for him? But pressure aside, I feel like we need to be a bit easier on Daniel. You need to give him that sort of time to sort of, collect himself and collect his thoughts and just gather back his fitness, because you can't keep running the kid into the ground. He's played two 90-minute games in the span of, 4 days now?
Oh, shit, yeah.
So you really need to give this kid a rest. I wouldn't start him personally against Adelaide, not because I don't think he's good. I think he did fine tonight against Sydney. Was he fantastic? I'd say he wasn't the most effective of our attackers. Would I say he was bad? No, not at all. I thought he was fine. But at that point, when you have a player that has such a high ceiling as Daniel Benny, when do you start to say that, maybe just fine is not good enough, and not to the point where we should drop him, to the point where maybe he just needs a rest. Maybe we should look to work around that squad a bit more. And I do think they'll do that against Adelaide, but if they don't and Benny starts, I'm going to be seriously concerned.
Look, I might be wrong here, but I don't know if you remember, about 80 minutes in, Benny was running for a ball and he was getting, people were haggling him, yelling at him, because he was pretty much walking, jogging, which I don't blame him, because, 2 90-minute games in 4 days. He's 17, he's not physically developed, he's not fully developed, right? But
He's not even finished puberty yet.
yeah, exactly. When I
Is
was 17, I was playing Minecraft, bro.
Building houses.
And when you've got old men yelling at him in the stands, they can obviously hear it because there's 4,000 people in the game.
He's like a barbecue chicken, mate. He's cooked and stuffed. He is just tired. He just needs a
He's
breather.
tired. He's cooked.
Barbecue chicken.
I think obviously rest him for the Adelaide game. Rest him for the Adelaide game, not because he said he's shit. I actually
he's
rate him. At the start, I was a bit iffy about him, but the past 4 or 5 games, I've really seen him develop. And I see more potential in players like Collie, to be honest. Collie's 24, he's 17.
I mean, I think we can all agree on that. At sort of the start of the season, it was more Daniel Benny being sort of, okay, is that sort of industry plant that we have there to have this whole thing of, WA products and, here we go, that kind of stuff, marketing, blah, blah, blah. But over the course of the season, you really see why Stadge has made him such an integral part of this team. And like we said, so good to see him get his first goal against Melbourne Victory. I think it was a couple of weeks after he got his first ever assist in professional football as well. And look, we saw that potential when he scored against West Ham. So hopefully he keeps going. I still have a prediction that he's probably going to be sold after the end of next season, purely because I think he's going to be a phenomenal player next season. I think he's going to really come into his own physically and in mental aspects of his game. And I hope it all goes well for him. But let's get into the actual game against Sydney, because we've been rambling on about, other shit for about 20 minutes now. So, I think it's fair to say,
Sorry, it was terrible. It was, the sound effects helped, but it was a terrible game.
It was absolutely horrid. But let's go bit by bit. Let's say that first sort of 20, 25 minutes. Now, I can't lie, it might have been the most boring piece of shit I've ever seen of the Glory this season. Apart from the absolute horror that was the victory last week. But man, there was just absolutely nothing. Honestly, there was absolutely nothing. And we can say outside that tags chance, you had a few sort of good moments there. Sushniar looked pretty good, getting nice and high up the pitch, putting in balls. Obviously, they weren't effective a lot of the time, but Anasmo looked phenomenal right off the start. I'm so happy that he got the first start. But that tags miss, man, just what a missed opportunity.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, Tags had 2 days rest. I think, and like you were saying before, Stadge he can't be afraid of taking off his star player. Going into it, I said before the lineup was out, I'll be surprised if Tags even get to start, because he's obviously run into injury troubles before in Asia and he said himself, it's because you play so many games so close to each other. But he missed a fair few chances, more than one, but I just can't blame him.
That's fair enough. I mean, look, at some point I do have to say, look, I know you're tired, I know you're probably hurting, but, you're Adam fucking Taggart. You gotta be scoring some of those chances. But I do understand why, he didn't look at his best, and I think it's fair to say none of us expected him to look at his best with the situations going around with the fixture schedule. But man, it just shows that we really lack that quality striker depth that we really need behind him.
Like, I'm just gonna. This is controversial, right?
Oh shit.
Obviously, Kolakovsky out. I think he's injured, but
Yeah.
it's not official. That they haven't said anything about it. But
I think
either way,
Stats said he was recovering.
this is back to sort of
Yeah.
selection. I think Zimmerino should have at least made the bench. I know it's going to be controversial, but I think just in case, more depth, or at least someone else.
I want to back it up. Look, I know clearly you're not his biggest fan, Alex. That's all right. Certain people constantly putting his name up on Twitter maybe doesn't help his case, but you can do whatever you want. But I have to agree with Josh. I think Adam Zimmerino is a bit of a curious case because I would have liked to have seen a bit more from not just him, but from a couple other boys over the pre-season and over the course of the season. And that's something that's, again, I've talked mostly pretty positively about Staj, but it's like, okay, we're cash strapped, don't have a lot of players. Why not use the whole squad before you go, no, I'm not playing you anymore, or I'm not going to give you a chance?
The voice.
It's like, but the thing is though, it's like, how does Luke Bodnar not get more games? I know he doubled off quickly, but how does he not get more games? Zimmerino, for example, I think, it's controversial, but he does have some decent finishing ability within him. I know he's screwed the pooch a couple of times last season, but I think if he was given a bit more game time as someone that could, because Taggart needs time to recover. And I think the one thing you can't do with Tags is overplay him. Otherwise, something's going to go, and then shit, we don't have Tags for a couple of weeks. It's been remarkable how fit he's kept himself over the course of the season, knowing his injury history. But yeah, I think as a product of the whole game, we just couldn't finish our dinner, boys. We had, I think, 80% possession in the second half, and what did we really create?
We couldn't get.
Did
past
we create much where it would be like, oh my God, Sydney are under so much pressure? It's like they kind of were, but as in if you have like the field tilt, that shitty stat that gets used in the EPL by all the tacticos and all that, we probably would have dominated field tilt. But then it's like, okay, in terms of actual chances, we scored off a friggin' set piece, not from open play.
The thing that obviously frustrated me a lot with today's game is, the players just couldn't move in the final third. They were too slow. That's like, I'm not trying to have a dig at the wingers, but they constantly pass back. They wouldn't even have a crack just to whip it in. They'd have to take 2-3 touches, then try and whip it in.
Yeah, but do you know why though? Let's be very quick. Our ball speed at times was fucking pathetic. It doesn't matter if you're playing A-League, Premier League, Serie A, Serie C, La Liga, Pakistani First Division or whatever.
Do they have a First Division?
I don't know, mate. I'm just throwing random shit out. But the point is, if you want to break down a low block, you need to be able to move the ball quickly and with purpose. How many times our players would just not hit a pass well, like a basic skill, or just, not take a lot of care with the ball? Like there was one point, G. Collie thought he was friggin' Paul Scholes, where he just stuck his toe out like he was doing the Agadoo thing, that Agadoo song, right, where they were doing the shuffle. Stuck his leg out, and if Sydney were a bit more clinical, maybe a bit more fresh, they could have capitalised on it. Trent Osler, when he came on, look, Trent's a great utility player, but Jesus Christ, I think he mishit at least a couple passes.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's like, we have the attack going, and then the players have to stop because the ball just has to go to them a little bit slower. We can't attack them quickly. And then it's like funneling the ball from the side to side. It's like slow-mo. It's like, walking pace. And it's like when there's space to attack. And it's like Sydney would have been tired. There were 10 men. There were 10 men since a half an hour. And we were pounding on them. Yet we didn't move the ball quickly enough with enough purpose, with enough penetration, that I have no doubt Stage would have, left the game going, fuck me. We've wasted a big chance. And that's what probably one of the things that annoyed me the most coming out of the game.
I just need to say something quickly. Sofa score. I have a big problem with you. How you don't give Majekodunmi man of the match after that star-studded performance, and you give it to Gio Collie, whose passes were more sideways than fucking Lizzo. All right,
Oh.
I seriously do not understand that at all. Now that's just a problem with the ratings I have for SofaScore.
Did you want to talk about G? Because he was someone that I think if we're going to talk about players that maybe we're a bit frustrated with the most, all of us, because I think at least 2 or 3 times we all went, oh, come on, G.
I think the great Gennaro Gattuso described it best when he said, sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Yeah.
And our good friend of ours of the podcast as well, Mr. Marco
Mancosu, yes.
is also a big fan of Gio Colli. Now, I can see where he's coming from. Gio is good. He's got potential. When he's given space and freedom to actually attack the play, he can do it. However, when he doesn't do it, he's a bit like my favorite Perth Glory TikTok user. He's average.
I'll just say something quickly as well.
I don't have afro.
G today looked like he just went to Sizzler and wolfed down the whole buffet because he looked absolutely like buggered, like he just done a marathon in Dubai. Because he looks, he just looks tired, bro. He doesn't. I'll be very quick. I know I'll pass over to Josh, but he looks real. He looks hell tired, like he needs a breather or something. I think. Look, he picked up his 5th yellow card, so I believe he will be out of action for the Adelaide game. But it's like. But it's like, G does cop a lot of stick, like we've said on this podcast before. Not all of it's fair, but I think today, look, I'm not his biggest fan, and I wasn't exactly impressed with today's performance. I'll put it that way. Josh, you want to go, mate?
Oh, can I just say quickly?
You what?
It's ironic that you mentioned Sizzlers because, like Sizzler, Giordano Colli's defensive ability no longer fucking exists.
Oh.
Alright.
Did it ever exist though?
Sizzler.
He was never, G's defense.
Here's the thing I'll add about G. Obviously, he's just like everyone else. He's played a lot. But I think the only sort of time I've rated G was at the end of last season where he got, I think it was 10, 15 minutes off the bench under Ruben Zatkovic. He looked decent, right?
The Western game?
Yeah, the Western Sydney. I think the problem is for G is he has it too easy. He's got that guaranteed sort of starting spot. There's no ambition. There's obviously ambition, but he's lacking a bit of ambition.
Competition. Competition, so that if he's feeling a bit tired or buggered, there's someone that can come in and keep him on his toes almost. Because I think he started every game.
Just like Warland, I think there needs to be more competition, so the players can really fight for their starting spot.
I've seen it even with Shushnyar and Warland though. I felt like Warland was a good addition because, look, like obviously with Shushnyar, we know his best position is centre back.
Yeah.
His one-on-one defending, maybe not the best, and I think that's indicative because of how many fouls that he does give away when one-on-one defending. So maybe it's someone that you want to put out at left back a bit more, just so it's a bit more risk-free. But I feel like Warland was a good addition. I feel like Shushnyar has improved leaps and bounds when in that left back position. He's a bit more cautious now. His passing's improved, and it's another good case of why competition has been good for certain people. I completely agree. I think G is just a bit too comfortable right now. Sometimes it's good for a player to be comfortable, but even then, I think it's just important that we have a proper midfield structure that allows G to play like Gio Colli should be playing, getting forward and actually trying to create some chances rather than having to be burdened with all this defensive responsibility.
Some details of his game are a little bit confusing to me. I don't want this to be like we're all picking on G. It's just probably this wasn't his best game today, at least in our opinion. He's capable of a lot more, I think.
We love you, G. That free kick was nice.
Well, yeah, the free kick, he was unlucky not to score that free kick. Great technique. But it's like sometimes as a centre midfielder, he would ask for the ball and he's got 3 blokes on him. Like he'd stick his hand out like, this typical NPL midfielder, yeah, go and pass me the ball. I don't know that I've got 3 players on. I just don't think his spatial awareness is too good and his vision at times. And just that then leads, for example, when he's doing his defensive work, he can get caught out of position quite a fair amount of times. But before we, dabble any further, I just want to talk about someone that deserves to get a shitload of praise and someone that probably should be starting next season because he's an absolute, brilliant bastard. He had a great game, man of the match in my opinion, Majekodunmi. I would don't think it's a far stretch to say it. In terms of looking in the next 10 years, he could be a really top centre-back for the Socceroos, and in terms of young Australian centre-backs, I think he's got a lot of potential. He's ridiculously calm in one-on-one situations. I think his presence already is pretty good. I think the level of composure, like I'm saying, just not just when he's defending, but on the ball as well, he's got a little bit of calmness, and I think he's really settled in, especially after that Western Sydney game where he had his full debut, Melbourne Victory game, and then this one, he was just steady Eddie. I don't know if you see it. I see a little bit of, very early, but small signs, a little bit of Van Dijk. Not saying like, oh, here we go, he's gonna be Van Dijk.
Call, man.
But in terms of,
I see a bit of Maldini in him. I can't lie.
Shut up! No, I'm talking about his one-on. But in terms of like his one-on-one defending, his composure in those situations, like you've got, let's say Muslimani and Shushnar, who go into challenges like they've been slung out of a cannon, and then you've got Majex, who's very cool. He sort of goes through the motions, and
You just like his dreadlocks, mate.
no, well, I think no, not for me, but I reckon he looks good with them. But more to the point, I think he had a great game, and I'm really excited for what he can do in the future.
Yeah, no, I agree with James. I think from now on, obviously, we're out of the title race.
What?
No, not the finals.
The title race? We were in the title race?
Wait,
Can we check this? Can we confirm this?
I'm tired, right? It's late because we have a stupid.
Fucking 11 o'clock, bro.
Yeah, I'm tired, right?
It's his bedtime.
Okay, finals. Yeah, it is my bedtime. Thank you very much. We're out of finals, but I think you've got to start him every single game and next season. He deserves the spot.
Yeah.
For me, that he solidified his spot, and Beavers is gone now. I don't think you can put Beavers back in. I think he's injured anyway. I don't think he will make another appearance.
Doubt it.
But he might as well get on the plane now.
Oh shit, that's harsh.
I mean, the one thing I will say though is one player that does deserve to be bagged down. I don't like bagging out players. Bruce Camus.
Can we clarify as well? Bruce Camus was, I think, the very first game of the season. I've had a problem with Glory's pre-match experience anyway, but the MCs this season have been dreadful.
They've improved it recently, but the first one. First one.
The old guy bringing back? He knew how to rev up the crowd, etc. But Bruce Camus, his name is Bruce Camus, but old mate said Bruce Camus, and everyone went, "What the heck? That's not his name." But Camus, we were talking about it on the way here, Josh. Senior player, got experience.
29 should be in his prime.
What the fuck are you doing going to ground in the box?
Yeah.
Why are you going down slide tackling a player? Once you go to ground in the box, you're just asking an attacker to let's do it. It's like just lack of discipline, a lack of ability. I shouldn't say lack of experience because he's got experience. But, stupid shit like that is why we can see goals, and it's why we're towards the bottom end of the ladder.
I can also appreciate the theatrics as well when they sold that penalty.
Shit.
The old Swan Lake ice figure skating dive, that was absolutely beautiful. But
10 out of 10 dive, bro.
Look, it's really disappointing to see from Kamau. Look, he's had his moments throughout the season.
Has he?
He has.
What?
He has. Yes.
What, 145-minute stint before he pulled
Against
his
the
hammer?
Mariners, yeah.
Alex, it's a senior player.
Look,
We should demand more from a senior player.
I'm getting to that point, James. Let me finish the point. As I was saying, it's disappointing to see that sort of, immaturity in that sort of situation from a senior player.
Stupid.
Especially when you've got younger guys like Gorman, like a Nasmo, like Benny, who are looking up to players like this and, taking example. It's very disappointing to see. And I know that Kamau has lost a lot of his sort of pace and his signature agility and just rapidness. And I think I definitely saw that in the way he went to tackle for that ball. He went in there thinking that he was 23-year-old Bruce Kamau going in there. He's going to fucking get there lightning quick and win that ball. He just doesn't have the legs for it anymore, which is unfortunate. It's a similar case to Musti, in which he tries to do a lot of stuff like he's 6 years younger,
Mm.
but he's really not. I wanted to make a point on Majekodunmi earlier.
Yeah.
In saying that, while I think some of the senior guys this season, like Kamau, have shown a bit of immaturity at times in their dealing with sort of in-game situations.
Yeah.
Majekodunmi tonight showed experience beyond his years. I was
Van Dijk.
worried.
He looked so mature.
I was worried personally with that Kaczarski and Mac positioning with the lineup with Mac up top. I could almost tell that their plan was to just overload Majekodunmi's side. He handled it like a fucking champion.
Hey, I don't think Kaczarski beat him once. If I'm right,
He had,
if I'm right. If I'm
he
right.
had Kaczarski on lock the entire first half, and he
Mm.
sat Robert Mack on his ass about 3 times with tackles. It was absolutely phenomenal. I don't think he put a foot wrong all game. And I will mention as well, because I know you were a bit shocked by this, Riley Warland, this is, I think, easily his best performance of the season. I think easily. Genuinely did not put a foot wrong. I might be forgetting something. Got the assist for the goal, brilliant delivery, Majekodunmi, phenomenal header, nearly in the postage stamp. But Riley Warland won absolutely everything in the air that I know of. Won ground duels, he looked composed. It's something that we haven't seen enough of. And I think this is really why we're thinking about keeping him on for... You have something to say, I know you have something to say. But this is why I want to keep him on for next season as a rotation option, because I think he's got the ability, he's only 21 years old, and these are the kind of performances I want to be seeing of him. Is he someone who's going to be playing for the Socceroos? Probably not.
No.
Mate, that's an insult to the Socceroos, mate.
We're not much fucking better. We were playing Joel King at left back for the Socceroos, alright?
And Geordie Boss is a left wing.
Jihadiani.
Jihadiani would call up Jared Carluccio to put him at fucking centre back.
But Doggy could do a job.
Joggy could do it. Doggy. Doggy's another one that I have to mention.
Doggy, we love you.
Doggy, you are a cult hero as far as I'm concerned. You and Collar,
Stay.
please stay at the Glory.
Oh, he stands
But,
he stands you.
Stab's looking like
Jesus.
looking like Christ the Redeemer.
Yeah. What the fuck? We're gonna find that meme as well.
Oh man.
Can I just add?
No.
Yeah.
No, okay.
No,
Give
sorry.
me the
Yeah,
fucking Wait, so Warland, okay, before the assist he was shit, he fucked up all his passes, right?
What? Aye, respect.
Okay, but
Respect
the thing
Riley.
is, Sydney weren't necessarily, they were parking the bus, they weren't a threat, were they? They didn't really test Warland, did they? That's why he had his
no,
best,
not really.
that's why he had his man of the match performance, whatever you say.
So why was Collie and Amini both shit?
Because it's G. Collie and Amini.
Wow.
Amini might have
Warland was I think better in terms of defensive transition and ability than Rawlins. I think Rawlins is a better player. I think Warland was better.
Can I just
Wiley Warland.
can I just elaborate? Warland was okay because I think he wasn't necessarily put under much duress like he normally is in games, because normally he gets sort of sat on his ass by really techie wingers.
Yeah.
But I thought, look, got to give him credit because he does cop a bit of shit. Great delivery for Majekodunmi's goal, and Majekodunmi leapt up like a salmon, like prime Virgil van Dijk. Can't believe I'm saying his name. I'm a Man United fan. I hate Liverpool, but you know he's doing a good job. And then Warland as well. I liked his attack on, particularly that one moment where Majex did that diag, and it was like, oh no, that Sydney bloke's going to get it. I think it was Ryan Grant. But then Riley said, no, fuck off. And then leapt up, boom. And then it went down to Dave, and then Dave, I think it missed him, and then it went to Tags, and then unfortunately, you know, Tags
I remember that
just
one.
screwed up. But, you know, I disagree that Warland was shit. Or just not very good. But I think, you know, Warland, he was okay today. I think there wasn't much that he did wrong. I thought he was actually, not too bad.
Shit, I was going to say something I completely forgot. Oh, the perks of recording a podcast episode at 11 p.m, ladies and gentlemen.
10:48.
I'm not about to get into this fucking conversation. Joe's about the fucking time. Who gives a shit, bro? It's late. It is so late. Oh my god. Alright.
Okay, I'm just gonna add. Obviously, for some reason I thought Warland was like 24. I forget he's 21 because he does have a pretty good beard. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, he looks about.
He's got the
24.
beard going.
He does like G looks about 21, but you forget he's 24.
Yeah.
Like, but anyway, obviously, yeah, I didn't say he was completely shit. I just thought he still made mistakes, but he definitely did, compared to his other games, have, I'd say, his best performance so far. Obviously, a nice assist, but I'd definitely keep him for next season because he'd be a good backup. And yeah, only 21, so there's still definitely potential there.
I also don't like how he got booed in the pre-match.
Sorry, you were booing.
You booed
No, I did. You booed him.
You
I
too.
booed Gio Colli.
No, hang on. You
But that's the difference is it's funny when you boo Gio Colli because we rate him deep down.
You two,
Warland,
Oh,
you
yeah.
have a fucking vendetta out.
you two knuckleheads, boo when Warland or Collie come.
Oh, have some fun, James. Have some fun.
I'm just not the party people. I just sit there.
Yeah.
I didn't. Did I celebrate?
James is like the old grandfather.
Did I even celebrate for Majekodunmi?
No, you didn't. You sat there.
No.
I've got it on video,
I was pissed off.
which we will see.
I was pissed off.
You will see on the
was
Backfoot
annoyed.
Podcast YouTube channel. Check out the matchday vlog that I'm about to do.
I gave him a round of applause as he came back.
Yeah, you did. You gave a round of applause, but when we scored, I was fucking hyped up, jumping up and down, shit. You were fucking happy. You were cheering and shit. And James was.
I'm not happy.
He wasn't happy, man.
He just wanted to watch. His prediction was 5-3, 5-3 to Sydney. I can assure you, it was not 5-3. Anyways, you want to preview the game against Adelaide? Let's
Yeah.
preview the game against Adelaide. James, what do you have to say for us?
If we don't smack Adelaide, I'll chuck my membership in the microwave. No, I'm joking. No, but look,
It's like one game left.
got one game left and I've had it. No, but I think.
do it, James.
I've been saying that for the past
James,
5
we need your
seasons.
attendance.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do. No, but I want to see from the players. I really want to see better from the players. I know there's like not much to play for in the grand scheme of things because, Josh, we're not in a title race. We're
Yeah, no, it's 11 o'clock.
we're in the race for 8th place.
we're in the race for 8th place, and that just shows that the standards at the club that need to be fixed. But I think in terms of performance for Adelaide, what I really want to see is us sort of embody it, like your dog today, Alex. When we went into your home, Bonnie, it was all over Josh.
Golden Retriever. Yeah.
Golden Retriever all over Josh, and we need to be like Bonnie. We need to be all over those Adelaide players because I think, look, what I want to see from us for once, please start a game well and then play well for the whole damn game because I reckon Alan's.
We did it against Western Sydney. We got Aiden Simmons on a yellow within a minute and a half, and then just did fuck all for the rest of the game.
I know. So Stage has been wanting a full 90-minute performance since friggin' last year, and we haven't done it yet. So, guys, this is your second last home game. Please put in a full 90-minute performance for fuck's sake, please, and then sit there and Kunda down because look, I rate him. He's a good little talent, but he's a little pest. And I just think he's going to score somehow against us. That little fucking asshole just finds a way to score those ridiculous goals. But hopefully the Glory boys can put in a much better showing. Put it that way.
I was gonna say, with us pretty much being in the battle for 8th place at this moment, what's that Will Ferrell movie, that basketball one?
What?
There's a Will Ferrell basketball movie, but the whole point of the movie is they're trying to finish. Oh shit!
Dodgeball? No.
No.
Dodgeball.
It's about basketball.
I know, but I just, in case you like.
It's a Will Ferrell movie about basketball.
Coach Carter.
About Coach Carter. Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
No, but
Shit.
the whole point is that they're trying to become an NBA franchise, and they find out the top 4 teams that are in this division are going to become NBA clubs, and then the whole point of the movie is they're trying to win their title and whatever. And at the end of the season, it's really funny because they get told, we're not going to be putting up your franchise anyway. But then they finish 4th place on the last game of the season. And the whole fucking ending is just, we did it! We got 4th place! We did it! That's what this feels like with us going for fucking 8th. We're not going for finals. We're not going for any
race.
medals. No title race. No anything
Yeah.
like that. We're going for 8th fucking place out of 12.
Yuck.
And you know what?
Yuck.
You know what?
Yuck.
I couldn't give a shit. I'm here for it. And like you said about needing a team of golden retrievers out there, I see why they call him Doggy Carluccio, because he's a fucking Rottweiler.
Start him.
Holy shit.
Start him.
Start the man. Give him the armband. Put the contract on the table. Let him put whatever numbers he wants. Let him sign it. because Perth Glory are back because we have Doggy Carluccio.
We're still shit though.
We can be
We're
like
so
United,
shit.
put him on a 5-year deal and $200,000 a week.
Shut up, Josh.
I wouldn't mind it.
No, what I will add though is for the game against Adelaide, I want to see some rotation. I know obviously we're still fighting for 8th, but I'd love, I don't know if Anasmo after that deserves a start. Maybe not a full 90. I think he could get a start.
Okay,
but not
start
a
him
full
again.
90.
He caused some havoc.
I could
He
say
deserves a start.
no, but sorry, deserves the full 90.
I was like,
He deserves the start. But I
I was
want
going
to
to
see
say,
a bit of
I was like,
rotation.
fucking hell.
I
He's
want
our best fucking winger.
to see rotation. Maybe Benny. Maybe we should rest him. Give that to Doggy. But yeah. And who's that Japanese kid?
Aki Sukamoto.
Sukamoto.
Yeah, give him a go.
I'd have him off the bench to
Because
start,
Colley's
personally.
suspended because the yellow
I
cards.
think, yeah.
So
If Amini is fit to start, I wouldn't mind chucking Ike in. However, it is a bit of a shit situation to sort of chuck him in at the deep end
No,
against an Adelaide team.
Because
like
because we all know Alex wants his mate in the team.
Bodnar.
Yeah.
Mate, I'd love Bodnar, but at least give him a
that.
day.
Luke, mate, please, I want your signed shirt, please, mate.
Luke,
Make
you
it
need to be in the team,
happen.
lad.
Luke, make it happen. No, but in all seriousness, I rate Ike. I've watched quite a bit of him in the NPL for the Glory in recent years. He's been an absolute mainstay in their system. 19 now, good physical presence. I think he can be one to sort of make a claim for a spot next year.
Him and Pearman.
Him and Pearman, definitely. Pearman's been doing very well in the NPL men's. And obviously Alex Bolton as well. You may be known of
Heard some
his
good
presence.
things.
Yes. But I wouldn't start Ike purely for the fact that he's never played any professional minutes before. I would play Luke Bodnar.
Oh yeah.
All agendas aside, I would start Luke Bodnar, please.
Yes.
Start Luke Bodnar, please.
No, why are we starting Bodnar?
But in all seriousness, look, Ike's a great talent.
Yeah.
If we go against Adelaide, I do agree that we need to rotate, but not too much. I would rest Rawlins. I would give Katrumbis a start at right back. I'd keep that same back to Majekodunmi and Latchman. I would put Susnia as the left back over Warland. As decent as Warland was tonight, you need that physical presence up against Nestor Irinkunda. Just shut the fuck up. You need that physical presence up against Irinkunda. I would have Amini start. I know it might be a bit much to ask of him, considering he's just played, was it about 80 minutes or something like that. But I just don't think Trent Ostler's ready to fulfill that role yet.
He's not a centre.
I would start Bodnar and Amini as my midfield too, essentially. Ostler can come on there if you need. I would have Ike Sukamoto on the bench if you do need that sort of other 8 option or a 6 option a bit deeper. As for wingers, Carluccio's pinned down right wing for me. If Kolikovsky is fit to start, I would start him up top alongside. Now, I was going back and forth as to, do I think you should start David Williams or do you start Jaden Gorman? Who?
Zimmering.
Zimmer.
Zimmer.
I don't hate Zimmerino. I don't hate him.
You need to clarify that.
I despise him. And
Oh shit! They're after you now.
I'm joking.
You're
Paul
the hit
Zimmerino,
list.
Please do not say mean words to me on Twitter again.
Mate, you're not going to
please.
be safe. At
I haven't.
Brisbane.
You pipsqueak, bro.
At the Brisbane.
Gotcha.
Oh no! What if people come say hi to me,
We've
boys?
got you on lockdown.
But in all seriousness, it is a bit of a sort of a bit of a thinking choice. What is that a thing? No.
What
it's
to
not.
think? Yeah.
Mate, it's
Yeah,
we're
something
tired.
like
I get it.
It's
Yeah.
thinking something people do
Yeah.
most of the time, unless you stadge.
He does think.
Huh?
He does think.
Uh,
Just sometimes
I
he
want him to
drinks.
think.
Sometimes.
I want him to think about why the fuck he hates Luke
No,
Bodnar so
sometimes,
much.
sometimes he drinks rakia and then goes, "Well, fuck. Well, then what do I do?
Alright, fair enough.
Do score predictions?
Stadge, can you drink some rakia and then sign Mikola Kokyarevic from Swansea? He's a Ukrainian striker. He's like 6'5".
What the fuck?
Bangs in goals on my Perth Glory career mode. So think about that. I would start Gorman up top personally. Kolikovsky is just coming back.
Yeah.
Could you start David Williams? Absolutely, you could start David Williams, but I think it would be better to sort of run Tags and David Williams for that last 45, last 30, something like that. give Kolakovsky a bit of a way to ease him back in so he can start those last couple games of the season. Because I think it's imperative that he does start those games. Carluccio's earned to start.
Yeah.
He's just come back into the lineup after the sort of
Western
Sydney thing, and obviously the minutes that he got off the bench. Got the assist as well for Benny's goal against the Victory. Benny obviously needs to rest. And Asmo, give a start. Give him 60 minutes. And then whether you bring on a Zimmerino or bring on an Osler, you go from there.
Today in Asmo, was he playing as a striker?
He was.
He was sort of...
But that was fluid.
It was fluid. The front three is always... The front three is always fluid, but he was sort of bouncing between left wing and striker. It was weird with Kamau though, because he was bouncing between left wing and right wing.
Oh, heck.
But when he would move to right wing, no one would really it's hard to explain. Benny bounced between striker and right mid, and Asmo bounced between striker and left mid, and Kamau bounced between either.
Kamau's
so when he would go right, Benny would push up, Taggart would go alongside Benny, and then Asmo would drop back.
Yeah.
When Kamau went left, and Asmo would push up,
Yeah.
Taggart would go alongside, and Benny would push back, which is interesting. I didn't expect that. It's something similar to what Sydney were doing with sort of Kucharski and Mack, swapping every time, and obviously Majekodunmi did well.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, the Sydney defenders did pretty well on neutralising that threat. A lot of the time it does work.
Sorry.
A lot of the time it does work, but didn't work today, unfortunately. Something tells me that James wants to get on to our predictions for the Adelaide game, so we will go on to that.
Fuck. I'm going to say 2-1 Adelaide.
Really?
I was going to say the exact same.
2-1 Adelaide. I think
Kunda.
I think little fuckwit is going to score. I mean, look, Aaron Kunda's a great player. He's a great talent. I could just see him bagging one against us. I think their tree trunk of a striker, Hiroshi Usuki, a cool name, but I fucking don't rate him as a player. I mean, look, he scores goals, but I don't rate him. But he'll somehow get a header over us. And I think it'll be a similar story to what happened today, where we will sort of, upsy daisy with the ball and just sort of try and do stuff here and there, and then when it comes to the crunch, going shit.
Our finishing's just died off.
Our mate, we used to overperform with our finishing, and now it's like, how do you score more than
We've
one
gone
goal?
from Andy Carey scoring halfway line goals to our star striker missing tap-ins from the 6-yard box.
Yeah, but Tags, in fairness, did score that hectic volley against Victory.
I love Taggart so much. I'm so happy we have Taggart.
But yeah, I'm going with a 2-1 loss, which I don't want to say, but I think that's what it's going to be.
I agree.
So since you both agree on that, I will come in and say that I think the Glory are going to win against Adelaide. I'm manifesting some HBF Park, inshallah, and vibes. Glory are going to take it 3-2 final score. I'm going to say Adelaide go ahead 1-0, Glory pull it back 1-1, Adelaide 2-1, Glory pull it back 2-2, and a 88th minute winner from...
Ollie Sub.
An 88th minute winner from Riley Warland. I'm calling it.
I was gonna say put down the bong, but then you said 3-2, and so that's somewhat realistic. We're gonna concede 2 goals somehow.
Well, we haven't really.
Well, here's the thing: we have no problem scoring goals. It's just fucking conceding.
24/7, bro.
Recently, we haven't really been scoring many goals.
That's fine. We got HBF.
It was 1 against Western Sydney, 1 against Victory, and 1 against Sydney.
Two predictions. Glory will win, and Jaden Gorman will get his first professional goal.
Go on, Gormy.
I think he'll get his first professional goal. I'm backing you for a goal here, Jaden, so don't let us down. Do not let us down.
Sure.
And I hope that we haven't let you down with this absolute sleep deprivation piece of shit we call a podcast episode. But I think we're going to leave it there, unless there's anything we haven't covered. I was going to talk about the Newcastle Jets situation, but quite frankly, I'm too tired and I don't care enough.
I think all I'll say on a closing note is, fingers crossed you guys find an owner that will spend more than $1 on your club.
Absolutely. I will make a YouTube if this podcast gets to 20 likes. I will make a YouTube video where I attempt to buy Newcastle Jets.
Hey guys, it's Alex
For
from the
$1.50.
Podcast. We're buying Newcastle.
Matt Vandenberg, I will be your owner.
Your
I will be
saviour. Your
savior.
Jesus Christ.
I will be the redeemer of the Newcastle Jets. Anyways, lads, thank you guys so much for joining in for the second episode here. Thank you to Josh, debut appearance. I think that went very well, mate. James, as always, it's been a pleasure. For any Perth Glory players that have watched this and think that we hate you, don't worry, we don't. We just hate the fact that you play for our club.
We're just tired.
Wait, that sounded really bad.
We're-
No, we don't hate you. We just hate our club sometimes.
We get depressed.
Yes, we get depressed because we care.
Well, I'm
The fact that you play for our club means that we get depressed because of you.
I'm tired, Robbie.
I'm so. When's it gonna end, Robbie?
No, we're just frustrated with the club, and we want better, and we understand, you know, shit's happening, but
Oh, yeah,
we want more, we want better.
We appreciate you all, and
I love
we
this
do.
stage.
Aye?
I love you, Stats.
Love you too, Stats. Yeah.
We love you, Stats.
We love
If you're
you.
listening,
What the
good night.
Yeah. Hey?
Oi.
And on that note, on that bombshell.
Lads, thank you so much for joining in for episode 2 of the Shed End podcast. Most likely going to be an audio episode, but maybe we'll drop a camera view if you want to see our pretty little faces.
Especially
But-
Alex's.
I do have a nice
Wait,
little
we're
face. I do have a
recording?
nice little face.
What?
No, I'm joking.
Yeah, webcam.
But anyway, lads, I've said this like 3 times now. Thank you for joining episode 2. It's done now. Jesus Christ, Josh has dropped the bottle.
fucking
We'll catch you later.